Hikaru Kamiki and Hoshino are the parents of Aqua and Ruby. Yet, it's only near the later stages of the story where we finally got to see the history of their relationship and what happened between the two that caused Hikaru to supposedly want to kill Ai. Of course, a lot of what we know is based on the scenes from the movie. It's important to note that Hikaru himself actually confirmed that although the film is exaggerated and even fabricated some moments, it was still pretty accurate. Basically, seeing Ai and Hikaru through the film is the closest we'll ever get to seeing what actually happened between them, besides Hikaru's own flashbacks. As for how they first met, it all begins with Ichigo suggesting to Ai that she take some acting classes. That leads to Ai attending a Lalai workshop where she first encounters Hikaru Kamiki. After the workshop is over, she is greeted by Sujiro Urihara, and he also asks how the workshop was, and of course Ai says that it was really hard, and she didn't understand anything. Sujiro asks what part Ai found difficult, but before Ai can answer, Airi shows up and jokingly calls Sujiro out for flirting with another girl in front of his wife and child. Ai quickly recognizes the woman from a morning drama. This is Airi Himikawa, the mother of Taiki. After Sujiro determines Ai is in her third year of middle school, he pulls a boy over to come teach her. That child is none other than Hikaru, who's surprised. Sujiro believes that since they're the same age, it should work out. There are some things that can be learned through teaching, which Sujiro is certain Airi also understands. Although she just looks to the side silently before saying that she guesses it's a good idea. Hikaru is surprised that Airi agreed, but with that settled, Ai is now in Hikaru's care. We then see them reading some lines together, with Hikaru giving Ai some pointers, and eventually telling her she's doing a good job. As they continue practicing together, Ai begins thinking about Hikaru, like how he seems to be a fair kid. He's young, special, and cute, like a special jewel that everyone wants to own. The very definition of lookism. Ai wonders if everyone sees her that way too, as she pinches Hikaru's cheek. Afterwards, we see Hikaru walking off on his own before Airi finds him. She can tell Hikaru seems to be having fun before saying that a young, cute girl must be better than a married woman like her. Hikaru nervously says that's not true, and that Airi is better looking than Ai. Hearing that, Airi giggles and thanks Hikaru before putting a hand underneath his shirt and up his back as she says that he is really cute. Like the narrator says, the power of lookism really turns people into monsters. Later on, we see Hikaru panting heavily as he rides his bike over to Ai's place. She asks why Hikaru didn't take the train, but realizes that he doesn't get enough allowance. Hikaru also says that not everyone can get an allowance, leading Ai to say that they're the same then. Ai even suggests Hikaru should become an idol to get money, but Hikaru thinks she's just making fun of him. Ai wasn't joking though, and Hikaru blushes before they go inside. After some practicing, Ai says that people think her acting feels out of place, and is wondering if she can do it more normally. She asks Hikaru what she should do, but he just blankly states that there's nothing she can do. The reason is cause Ai is extremely weird. He says that if a weirdo does normal things, they'll become weird, right? Ai doesn't even know what he's yapping about, and says that he's actually the weird one. They bicker for a moment about who's the weirdo one, before Ai asks what's so weird about her in the first place. Hikaru says it's cause normal people don't just ask someone to come to their house and teach them acting. It's the student that should go to the teacher. Ai believes that does make sense, but also says that normal people actually say something like she shouldn't just invite a man to her house instead. Hikaru actually didn't seem to know that, making Ai say that he's actually weirder than her. That's still not enough to convince Hikaru though, as he exposes Ai for not even wearing matching socks. One of them even has a hole in it. On top of that, the soles in her shoes are always loose, and he says that her feet are worthy of getting clowned on. Hikaru says that Ai should be more careful about how she dresses. Ai looks away sadly for a second before sticking her tongue, saying no way. Yet, the next time we see Ai, people have started to notice how Ai seems different somehow. She's wearing proper clothes, puts polish on her nails, and wears different shoes every day. It seems Ai really did take Hikaru's words to heart, and then we actually see them together at a fancy restaurant. The producer, who I presume is Kaburagi, told Ai about this place, which is apparently popular among people in the industry. Ai asks what Hikaru wants to drink, and he just says water, but Ai says he can get whatever he wants. She is older after all, so she can treat him. Plus, she wants to thank him for helping her practice anyways. Hikaru says Ai doesn't have to do that though, since the restaurant is actually pretty expensive. Ai knows that it is, but is also pretty sure it's only $50 per person, and tells Hikaru not to worry since she's withdrawn $100 from an ATM. However, that's clearly not enough, as we see their shocked reactions when the bill shows up. We don't see what happens after that, and just see them walking outside together as Hikaru says it's his first time eating that type of food. He says it was delicious and Ai calls him cute, leading Hikaru to ask her to stop treating him like a child. Ai just can't help it though, due to things like Hikaru casually handing her his tomato, because he doesn't like them like a brat. However, Hikaru suddenly stops walking, and questions if Ai genuinely enjoyed eating with him. Ai says that she did, and as she waves goodbye, Hikaru begins thinking about how the truth is, tomatoes are his favorite. He's actually been to that restaurant with Ai before, and also gets plenty of allowance. Hikaru doesn't think that Ai is worse than him, and knows that the truth is, the things Ai has done to him are disgusting and intolerable. He questions if letting Ai do what she pleases with him is the right way to get someone to love him, someone like him who has nothing. He questions if he's really cute, and if this is how an innocent boy who doesn't know how things go would act. Ultimately, Hikaru wants to know if this is the right lie for him to tell. No one has ever discovered this lie, as he's completely fooled all of them. Then suddenly, we cut from Hikaru's thoughts to him saying that he's fine. However, Ai, who's right next to him, questions if that's a lie too. Shocking Hikaru. I can tell because she's the same. They both have the eyes of liars. Eyes that are good at deceiving people. Apparently, they had a talk after that. Then directly afterwards, I went straight to see Ai. She explains what Hikaru told her, but in response, Ai literally just says so what. It's free love, and I should mind her own business. Apparently Hikaru came to her of his own free will. Ai even says that Hikaru thinks and acts on his own, questioning if she's wrong. However, for one of the only times in the series, we see Ai get serious. And you know when Ai gets serious, someone's screwed up. She tells Ai that Hikaru told her that he believes he's doing the right thing. Ai has to remind Ai that Hikaru's still a child, and is at the age where he's trying to figure out what's right and wrong. Yeah, Ai forced Hikaru to take responsibility, when adults should be the one empathizing with children for their ignorance. If even adults don't protect children, what can anyone do about it? Ai then straight up tells Ai that she's nothing but a sex offender. Of course, Ai doesn't like hearing that, and questions why she should be the only one to blame before crashing out. Ai had lived her life experiencing the same horrible things she's doing to Hikaru right now. She's taken everything good and filthy in the entertainment world, because they keep telling her it's the right thing to do. Ai believed them and made it as far as she did, and questions why she should be the only one exploited by men. After Ai calms down slightly, she reveals that she really does love Hikaru, and has been kind to him, yet his experience has still been 100 times better than hers. From there though, some time actually passes. We can assume Ai didn't report Ai to the police for some reason. During one workshop session, when Hikaru and Ai are alone though, they share their first kiss together, according to the film at least. There's actually no evidence regarding the kiss and romance between the two, besides Hikaru's own statements. According to Hikaru, they're portrayed as having an awkward love relationship, as if they understood each other in their own way, but Hikaru believes that in reality, he was just relying on Ai one-sidedly. In real life, Hikaru felt they were a lot more realistic. They were neither dramatic nor exciting, maybe just a common story that appears on the news once in a while. Still though, they were together for a while, and back then, Ai was not happy to hear that Hikaru had chosen Ai. She coldly reminds Hikaru that Taiki is and will always be his child. Hikaru can't ever escape her because of that, and she is certain that he'll come back to her eventually. Ai believes no one else will ever love someone who's hopelessly empty like him. From there, we then see Ai and Hikaru alone, with Hikaru asking if Ai might abandon him. Does Ai love him? Ai actually has to think about that for a second, before stating that she'll be upfront with Hikaru, since lies don't work on him. Truthfully, Ai doesn't know the answer, which obviously worries Hikaru. However, we know that Ai was always unsure if she could truly love someone. That's why Aqua and Ruby were the first and only people she could say she loved. At this point with Hikaru, Ai may have indeed loved Hikaru, but was still unsure if she could truly say those words. She really didn't know what to say, but that slight misunderstanding was enough for Hikaru to call up Seijiro and reveal the truth about Ai to him. That leads to Seijiro taking Ai's life and then his own in a fit of rage. That then leads to Hikaru showing up at their funeral. Kindaichi arrives as well, and believes that their death must have hit Hikaru the hardest, due to how much they seem to have cared about him. Then Kindaichi says that's why Hikaru has to shoulder the burden of living their lives for them from now on. Tears form from Hikaru's eyes as he hears that, and we even get a look at young Taiki standing all alone, while Hikaru is concerned about having to shoulder their burden. He begins breaking down as he questions if he really has to shoulder their burden. From there, we get another brief look inside Hikaru's head, as he believes this is painful. The weight of life feels like it's crushing his heart. Hikaru wants Ai to help him, as he feels like she's the only one who understands him. Every day, Hikaru would feel burned by the lustful gazes of people hitting on him for his luck. The words "I love you" seemed like nothing but a lie. I felt like the only way for Hikaru to get someone's love was to offer up his own body. Like with Ai, it felt like those people would be happy if he offered up his body. Hikaru believed Ai and him were the same and understood each other. He believed Ai accepted and loved him, as we see them sleeping together. It felt like Ai was the only one for Hikaru, and he was the only one for her. If they continued to support each other like this and live on, Hikaru felt he'd be able to bear that burden. At least, that's what was supposed to happen. On one fateful day, Hikaru seems surprised as he asks Ai the meaning of what she said. It's here what Ai says with the toothbrush in her hand that maybe it's better if they don't see each other anymore. That is the moment Hikaru believed he heard the sound of the world collapsing. Obviously, he's confused why I is suggesting this now, and that's why. For starters, Ai says that she's pregnant. In response to that, Hikaru suggests to get married. They can get married and live together, but Ai just cuts him off there, saying they can't do that. Ai admits that Hikaru is handsome, and it's fine if they dated each other like young people would, but being with him forever sounds like a bit too much for her right now. Plus, she knows that Taiki is his son with Airi. Ai then turns away saying that you can't even, and that's just tough. She can't bear that much baggage. As for her own baby, Ai admits that it's difficult for her too, before heading to the door and saying that it's over. Then right before she heads out the door, with her back facing Hikaru, hiding her face, Ai tells Hikaru that she can't love him. That would end up being the last time they spoke in person. From there, Hikaru would befriend Ryosuke and Nino, supposedly not knowing that they were obsessed with Ai. He told them his pathetic heartbreak story, while being vague about it. Hikaru also said that he told them that he was unsure if he should go visit his girlfriend, who was about to give birth at Miyazaki Hospital. Apparently, he had no idea what happened there, but that is most likely a lie, since the core girl did state that there were 2 men around the hospital at the same time, and one of them was around middle school age. Unfortunately, all we have is the Hikaru's words to go off of here, even if they're not exactly the full truth. All we know from here is that Hikaru and I spoke one last time over the phone, where I asked if he wanted to come meet with the kids. She also clarified that she didn't want to get back together with him. I had heard Aqua and Ruby talking about who their father was, and after hearing some weird theories, she wanted to clear it all up. She believed the kids would understand her situation with Hikaru, and gave him her new address. However, Hikaru didn't have the courage to meet Ai just yet, so he actually asked Ryosuke to deliver the bouquet instead. Hikaru leaked the address, but supposedly didn't expect Ryosuke to actually kill Ai. He just wanted to scare her a little, so she'd understand his despair. The despair he felt when the girl he loved so much, and was willing to sacrifice his life for, told him she couldn't love him. Hikaru genuinely believed Ai didn't love him, and that she was just like everyone else. As for why Hikaru believes this, he believed it was only natural since she knew what he had done. To him, Ai was just like any normal human being. Someone who avoided terrible things, and had both cruel and selfish sides. She was just an ordinary girl. However, Hikaru's perspective is shaken when Aqua plays the recording Ai had left him. I knew Aqua must have been wondering why she broke up with Hikaru. The reason was because she could tell Hikaru was already at his limit. Hikaru had become afflicted by the dark side of the entertainment industry, and became dependent on her, and felt like Hikaru was being crushed by the weight of life. He was on the verge of break-in. In the midst of all this, Hikaru had found out Ai was pregnant, and she thought that he definitely couldn't take any more of this. That's why she said what she said. She couldn't be burdened with him anymore, so they should break up. Ai really did tell Hikaru that she couldn't love him. She thought Hikaru would be okay once the kids and her were gone. At that time, I didn't really understand what it meant to love someone, and she didn't think what she did was love either, so she gets anxious. However, she decided to believe that lies are love. At first, I was scared to give birth, because she knew it would become a burden to Hikaru, but she couldn't do that. The truth is, I really wanted to be with Hikaru forever. She wanted to carry that burden he carried, and raise their children together. She wanted to live her future with him, and we get a brief glimpse at what that could have been with those panels. Ai also reveals that Hikaru was the first person she's ever wanted to love, even though she's never really understood love. Then she asks Aqua, from his perspective as a 15-year-old, were her words really lies? Was saying that she couldn't love Hikaru a lie? Then Ai requests Aqua and Ruby as adults to help Hikaru together with her if he's still lost. In the end, the 15-year line movie itself was actually a timeless love letter from Ai to Hikaru, who she had pushed away back then. Hikaru can only listen as he attempts to touch Ai's hand with his own. Throughout Ai's time with the twins and even in the recording, she had never once revealed Hikaru's name, showing that she was worried about him till the end. Hikaru remained crouched down in front of the recording of Ai, powerless and empty. After a while, Hikaru got up and told Aqua that he was going to do what he could for Ai before leaving. Little did we know, Hikaru actually just wanted to increase the value of Ai's life even further. Once Ai died, Hikaru had become obsessed with killing those who could surpass her, believing that would increase her significance. He had lost his former nobility, and became a broken soul who fulfills his desires by taking people's lives, like that of Yura Katayose, who is perhaps the most popular actress in Japan at one point in time. Ultimately, trying to kill Ruby Hoshino, his own daughter with Ai, became his destiny. In a tragic twist of fate, the one to stop Hikaru was their son, who took his own life to stop his broken father by stabbing himself and then dragging Hikaru with him into the ocean. The last moments of Hikaru Kamiki consisted of him trying to strangle his own son, while trying not to die in such a horrible place. Unfortunately for him, the shadow of Goro pulled Hikaru back from Aqua. and he was dragged down into the dark depths of the ocean by perhaps the shadows of all the lives lost due to his own evil actions. With his last breath, Hikaru remembers Ai, and how he only felt alive when he was with her. Hikaru really wanted to feel her presence, which grew weaker as he got older. Even if it was the weight of his sins, Hikaru wanted to feel her presence forever. As Hikaru's body descended deeper into the darkness, his final thoughts were that he could have felt Ai even more if he had just killed Ruby. That's how the tragic love story of Ai and Hikaru ended. It is kinda sad how that one lie, although it came from a place of love, caused such a tragedy. A tragedy that cost each member of their family a great deal of suffering. However, Ai shouldn't be completely at fault here, as she was still a teen at the time, with her own development disorder. Like any human, Ai too is also flawed, and this was a very good way of actually showing us her journey to learn about love. Unfortunately, this miscommunication ended up breaking the soul of her first love. That pain caused Hikaru to choose the path of being a murderer, and ultimately unable to be saved. Even their children could not carry out Ai's last wish to save him. What do y'all think though? Was anyone really at fault here, or was this just a tragedy all around? Let me know in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe. I got some more Oshi No Ko content here too that you can check out. Peace.